Welcome back to Word of Mouth. Chef Chris Hastings.
In the house. Happy to be here.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
So, brief overview. Who are you? What do you do on a day-to-day basis?
So, I'm Chris Hastings, born in Charlotte, North Carolina, and lived there up until 1980. After my mother died, I left town. I was working in a restaurant from the time I was 17 and 16. In 1980, I was 18. She died. The chef that was working with me said, "Look, you need to. You're good at this. You've done the dish pit. You've done the front of the house. I pulled you into the kitchen because I watched the way you work. Your mother just died. Your cutting board is here. My cutting board is here. We're going to work together every day. You got to work through some stuff. I'm here. I'll teach you personally how to cook." And he mentored me through the whole year. And then,
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was really, 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 really amazing. And so I got on a train in Charlotte, North Carolina, got off a train in Providence, Rhode Island, went to culinary school. It was a 2-year program. It was great. But the real learning takes place in real kitchens.
Right.
I learned a lot in culinary school, but getting out into the real world and becoming a journeyman chef is really where it's at. And I learned from countless chefs from all over.
Yeah.
So it's been a really incredible, just kind of literally back to the get on a train and get off a train. And I did that up until, I came to work for Frank in 82, it was 85. I met him in 84, then took the job in 85.
And for context, who is Frank?
Yes.
For anyone who might not know.
Right, yes. Frank Stitt of Highlands Bar and Grill. Yeah. Now Fawn in Bottega. I also helped Frank open up Bottega. I think that was in 89, if memory serves me. And Frank and I were doing an article with other chefs last year, and he was talking about his family tree, and of course, being a big part of that, he said, for the article, I had to think about who all was there, and it dawned on him, and I hadn't thought about it either, that 40 years ago, last year in 2025, we met 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's like a long time.
It is a long time.
That is like...
It's longer than I've been alive.
Wow. And it was really cool, to really kind of take that in and kind of been, one of the, Gen 2. If Frank's Gen 1, I'm definitely Gen 2, along with some other chefs like George McMillan and, Chris Newsom and others. And so, it's just a cool community.
Yeah. So take me through, you said journeyman chef.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
That means if you're young and hungry, which I was, you find the best chefs in the places where you want to live, and you put forth a path to learn.
Yeah.
Because even culinary school will tell you this is a valuable tool for you to come out of this part of your learning, but where the money is going to find the very best chefs in the town that you want to live in and learn. And don't stick around too long. Move, stick and move, get what you can out of that particular restaurant, that particular kitchen, and go to the next level, go to the next level, go to the next level.
So that's something they convey to you in school?
Yes.
Interesting. Because I feel like I think that's a good way that any person should and could learn. Yeah. Like that's kind of the way I view my career. I'm more of like a business guy. I do insurance. That's how I make money. But the guy I work for is one of my best friend's dad. And I said, I want to know how small businesses run because I want to run my own business one day. And I want to work for someone I can trust because there are some scummy business people out there. Yep. And so that was Shane, and that's why I have my job, because I was like, I want to glean from you and understand how you work.
Well, and the the genius and the beauty of all that is you pick the right person, in my case, a restaurant and the chef, a mentor inside the industry that you now are part of.
Yeah.
And that was Shane's dad, right? He was your...
Shane is the guy, yeah.
Shane is the guy.
Yeah, Steven is my friend.
Steven's your buddy.
Yeah.
Okay. So, really, I think, certainly in food and beverage, mentoring is the way we communicate is through mentorship, because it's not a book exercise.
Right.
You're coming in with your knife roll. You're there to do a job. You're being taught all kinds of things every day.
Yeah.
And, you just build that base of knowledge and build it, and you can go to the next kitchen, and then somewhere along the way and in my case, I had some incredible mentors. Besides Frank, one of my favorite mentors was Michael Deller and Bradley Ogden. They had a restaurant in California, in Larkspur, California. Heidi and I had moved to San Francisco. She wanted to go to the California Culinary Academy. She's always been fascinated with food, and when we met and fell in love and got married, and she wanted to go to culinary school because we knew we wanted to own a restaurant.
Yeah,
we wanted to, and she had to start her journey. I was pretty well into it at that point, but not terribly that far along. So
how did y'all meet?
We met, interestingly. So Frank was nominated for the top 40 under 40 by the Birmingham Business Journal. It was owned at that time by Tina Versiglio. She was roommates with Tina, along with a good friend, Leah Hazard, and Heidi. They lived in an apartment together. And
here in Birmingham?
Yes.
Okay.
And when Tina had nominated Frank as top businessman, under 4 years old, he comes to speak and gives his spiel. Tina said, "Look, you're a food person. You want to be a restaurateur one day. You need to come hear this." And so she goes. She took all kinds of notes. She listened to Frank's speech, and Frank had mentioned that he does stages with people, and trains them and whatnot. And so she shows up the next day. This is in his speech. She was talking about that, and she comes in to have a meeting with Frank, and said, "Look, I'm going to sign up today. You had mentioned yesterday that in your speech that you do mentoring
and training and stuff,
and stages. Stage in our industry is a term for training. Okay. And bringing you up from where you are and mentoring you and teaching you, and then it goes from there on to other things. Yeah. And so at the time, there was nobody in the kitchen staging, and so Frank says, "Okay, come on down. We'll do a stage with you." She said, "Chris, this is Heidi. Heidi, this is Chris." And she comes in the kitchen, and I was like, "Okay, so what do you want me to do?" She goes, "You need to show Heidi how we run this kitchen every day. I'm busy. You kind of need to be the lead on it. Certainly, okay. I'll spend time with Heidi and see how things are going and whatnot. But this is you'll be in charge of the stage." Yeah. So went about doing that. She happened to be cute as a button, and sweet and very smart and very curious, and took to it very quickly. She was natural, and at the end of the stage, which I think went about 90 days. Okay,
that's shorter than I thought. I would have thought it was like a year long or something.
Most stages are longer. Okay, but she had a day job, and
right.
Frank was kind of like, okay, we got other
help
stuff
her
to
out,
do.
but like not the main priority.
She's good. You've taught her a lot. I've taught her a lot. It's just time to move on, and so. Next thing I know, she says, "Well, can we continue to do cooking classes at my apartment with my two roommates?" I said, "Sure." And what was a professional, relationship turned into a friendship, and then ultimately, we started dating and fell in love and got married, and I think that was in '87.
Yeah.
Maybe '88. We're not 100% sure. It's been a long time.
Sometime back then.
Yeah, and
that's awesome.
And then we decided that, after I'd opened Bottega, she wanted to go to culinary school. And so we went to California, and that's where I met Bradley Ogden and Michael Deller. They were partners in a restaurant called Lark Creek Inn.
Okay.
And it's in Larkspur, which is about 25 minutes outside of San Francisco going north.
Gotcha.
So it's a great commute. Go over the Golden Gate Bridge twice a day, watching the sun come up and the moon come up.
Yeah.
So worked a lot, learned a lot. Brad Ogden's one of the best chefs I've ever worked with. His palate was incredibly intense and balanced and not subtle and not nuanced. It was
in your face.
Holy crap, that is delicious.
Yeah.
And balanced and texturally, everything was just new.
Yeah.
And, I'm in California, breadbasket of America, out there, everything is, the ocean is there, the best produce you've ever seen in your life is there. Incredible, husbandry people raising lambs and goats and chickens and all kinds of stuff that was just incredible. The farmers markets were a mind freak. They were so good for me. I hadn't seen anything like it. Actually, that's not 100% true. I had seen it in Italy on our honeymoon.
Yeah.
It's
pretty class.
Pardon?
It's pretty class.
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing. The European farmers markets are just unbelievable, and the closest thing I've ever seen to it is the Marin Farmers Market, just outside of San Francisco, and it's just unbelievable. This is for
so take me. There's a gap I'm missing right here. So finish in Rhode Island.
Yes.
Do you come straight to Birmingham after that?
No. What's
before?
I stopped briefly in Charlotte, where I grew up. Took a job with a catering company just to make some money and decide my next move. Lived with my dad and his wife that he remarried after my mother's death, and so just was trying to sort out what was next. So I did that for about 6 months. Wasn't really into it. So I said, you know what? I got an uncle down in Atlanta. He and his wife, he's my Uncle Johnny, and his wife Susan ran this cool little breakfast joint, and it was known in Highlands. What's that neighborhood? Highlands.
Yes.
It's got a
I have friends who live there.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the name of it, but yes, that part of the cool older
Virginia
part of
Highlands.
Yes, Virginia Highlands.
That's
Thank
it.
You. Yeah.
And so I lived with them, and it was I interviewed with a few restaurants, but ended up taking a job at the Ritz-Carlton.
Cool. Okay.
And that was really great because I'm in an incredible kitchen with some of the best chefs from around the world.
Yeah.
Because at that time, Ritz-Carlton was the thing for Atlanta. That was a big, huge move. I worked with chefs from Japan to Austria, Germany, Italy, France.
Wow.
Finland, all over.
That's crazy.
Argentina. I mean, it was just a unbelievable cast of characters that, and I got into my first position at the Ritz-Carlton was being a sous chef for the cafe. There's the dining room, which is the fancy restaurant, and the cafe is the more casual but very serious. And the chef that was in charge of the cafe, had a meltdown after I'd been there maybe 2 months. And, I'd learned, all the food, all the, how we set up, how we execute service, and lunch and dinner. And I didn't have to work breakfast, but I did cover lunch and dinner. And he had a meltdown and he was gone. And Chef Franz Mitterer, who was the executive chef at the time, calls me in his office and said, look, I forget the guy's name. He said, he's gone. I need you to step into the fray.
Wow.
And I said, okay, I'm in. So all of a sudden, I'm pretty, wet behind the ears, but I got thrown into it, and that's just the way food and beverage often is.
Yeah.
You show up at a place and you're somewhere on the totem pole, some slide opens and it's, maybe a little bit above, what you're prepared to do, but you're asked to do it and you do it.
Yeah.
And that's where real learning, you get tossed
100%.
into that environment and you learn quick, and you've got a title that's associated with the new position.
Yeah.
You've got to show up and you got to teach, and I've always been taught, and you got to execute every day. And it was a great experience. Then they ended up moving me to the Garde Manger, which was one of the biggest departments. It ran all of the cold food for the big banquets, for the cafe. And so we're talking about learning to do all kinds of classic food, pâtés, terrines, curing meat, making sausage and drying sausages to make all kinds of charcuterie, with all of these amazing made men who knew all of this stuff backwards and forwards. And I was just learning. So I moved from the cafe gig into being the second in command of the Garde Manger department. I learned so much in that particular department, because it touches so many outlets in the hotel. Yeah. And we're doing old school techniques that are, hundreds of years old, that are predate refrigeration, and just learning all the time. Yeah. And the chef would also ask the Garde Manger department to go to local cooking competitions, so we would put together a team and, study how we're going to, create our boards and our mirrors and all the different things that we would do. We would go into sushi or classic French terrines and foie gras terrines and all kinds of really, really classic stuff. Yeah. Pâté en croûte, all that kind of thing. And, it's just an incredible depth of knowledge. Yeah. And
so I'm relatively familiar with cooking competitions because of Food Network.
Yes, they're different than
which we can get
what
to
I'm
eventually.
Talking about, but we'll get
but
to
that's
that.
what I was going to ask about. Was so I didn't realize there's kind of like a not televised version of that. What is the point of that?
Well, it's to show the world that who's the best chef in all of Europe. Yeah, they've been competing in Europe, and in the very beginning, way back back to the founders of classic French cuisine, is everybody's competitive, certainly in our industry, and getting together and going into a culinary competition with your fellow restaurateurs has been happening since the beginning of when France had developed the classical French preparations. Yeah. And I grew up learning that from these guys. And we would compete in that old tradition where you had to put certain types of platters together, but you have to somehow show your own personal creativity inside the way you plate, the flavor of your food, how is the cuisson, which is the texture and the flavor and the overall finished product. How did that feel in your mouth, and how did it taste, and what was the cuisson, and learned how to do that. Competed. We won a gold there. Wow. And I like competition. Never have backed away from that ever. And I learned a lot on that the particular competition that we did. I talked the Francois, the executive sous chef under Franz Mitterer. I said, "Can we do some sushi?" And he said, I like that. We're not just going to do meat. Let's bring, because we do seafood platters, meat platters, vegetable platters, and I said, look, inside because inside the classic French, we're not doing sushi, right? We're doing different things.
Right.
We're doing poached salmon terrines and, pike quenelles and all that, stuff. And they said, no, that's a good idea. I'm cool with that. It's a little different because these are all mostly hotels that were competing and some outside restaurants.
Yeah.
So, it was cool. It was fun. And, I love the learning. I love the techniques that I learned just to do competition cooking.
Yeah.
And so, that was incredible. And then this cute little blonde girl comes down one day. This is back to how do I get to Birmingham?
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
Her name was Suzanne. She was a concierge in the 18th floor, so she handled, the meetings for all the VIPs that came through the 18th floor, whether they were doing meetings, business meetings, or buyouts for weddings or whatever. And so she'd come down every day and pick up all the hors d'oeuvres for the cocktail hour, both and for lunch and for dinner. Mm-hmm. So I saw her, twice a day picking up her stuff, and then some of the other girls, and then started talking to her and saying, hey, what's your name?
Yeah.
What's
going on
here? What's going on? And we started dating, and turns out she was from Dothan, Alabama.
No way.
Forget about it. You can't make it up.
Yeah.
I mean,
so random.
Changed my life. That one chance meeting with that one person, we started dating, and she said, hey, let's go down to Highlands Bar and Grill. I used to work there. I was a hostess. And that was like in the early days. That was like 82, 83.
Yeah.
84, she moves to Atlanta, gets a job at the Ritz-Carlton. That's the year that I met her. And it was 83, actually. It was late 83. And we went and had a meal at Highlands Bar and Grill. Met Frank and Frances, Frank's first wife. He was, in year 2, I guess. And he said, would you be interested in a stage? And I said, sure, I'd absolutely love to. Your food was delicious. You've got a beautiful restaurant. He's already getting, written up in all of the food magazines, Southern Living, New York Times, on and on and on.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so this is legit.
Yeah.
And I loved his food. Frank also was an incredible mentor to me. I'd come with the correct tools of classic French, cooking. I'd run some departments at the Ritz-Carlton. So he said, look, I'd like for you to come and stage because I could use a sous chef. He had a young guy that was there temporarily as a sous chef, but he had other plans to go open a restaurant in, I believe it was in Huntsville.
Okay.
So he was just temporary to help out Frank. And so I said, sure. I did about 4 or 5 stages. I can't remember exactly the number. He said, okay, I've liked, the purpose of a stage is this. You go into a strange kitchen you've never stepped foot in before. You have to understand the room you're in. You have to be clean. You have to be organized. You have to be, you're the new kid on the block. You're maybe here for, a couple of days or for a long time.
Yeah.
You've got to learn how to meet people, engage with these people who are showing you everything. And what Frank wanted to see in all stages, the chef wants to see is how do you come together with that team? How do you move? How do you communicate? How do you see and help and teach each other how to be better?
Yeah. So you finish the stages there, and then is that when you go to California?
Well, what happens first is yes. I start working for Frank. So it's funny. He invites me down and says, "Look, you did great. Okay, I want you and Francis and I to sit down and have lunch. I'm going to offer you a job."
Okay.
And so I'm driving to Atlanta or from Atlanta to Birmingham for lunch, talking myself out of this the whole time. Because I'm thinking, I'm in Atlanta. I'm working
You're
with
at the
chefs. I'm at the Ritz-Carlton. I'm working with all these rock star chefs. Yeah. But, I've always kind of been a gut player. I'm not writing my future, 20 years in advance and shooting for that. I'm gonna let life unfold. And I talked myself out of it all the way till the ride in, had lunch. Frank makes me a very handsome offer, more than I was making at the Ritz. And he said, "Would you like the job?" And I was ready to say no. And it's as if somebody put a hand on my shoulder and moved me from no to yes.
Wow.
And that changed my life.
Yeah.
I mean, literally changed my life forever.
Yeah.
Because my chance meeting of Suzanne, my chance decision to come to live in Atlanta, my chance meeting that Suzanne would know Frank and Francis.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
That's crazy.
And then I meet my wife. She walks in. Frank gives her a stage. We fall in love, and then we go to we moved to San Francisco. She went to California Culinary Academy. She went to work at Star's restaurant, which was Jeremiah Tower's very famous restaurant. He was one of the old guys that started the American food movement and changed it forever. People like Alice Waters, Mark Militello, certainly, let's see, who am I forgetting? There are a number of others, but, she went to work at Star's for Jeremiah Tower. He was just... These guys were legends. Bradley Ogden was also in San Francisco.
Okay.
And that's where I met him. He was leaving the hotel there that he had run for a long time, and he was going to open up Lark Creek Inn. So I went to school. I went looking for jobs. I'd read about Brad and some other restaurateurs, Alice Waters, Brad Ogden, the gal who ran Zuni Cafe, talked to her, and some other chefs. But Brad kind of was very interesting.
Yeah.
He made me cook. The rest just sat me down for an interview. He said, "Nope, I want you to cook a chicken. You come to my house. We'll play a little basketball. We'll have some fun. We'll talk about, stuff. I could use you in the interim before we open the restaurant, because I'm writing a cookbook.
Yeah.
And you're going to help me develop recipes. We're going to have some fun, shoot some hoops. But to get that job, to write the recipes and cook with him, I had to cook for him and his partner, Michael Deller.
Yeah.
Michael was the money guy. He was absolute genius restaurateur.
Yeah.
Genius with the math, with the money, how to run and operate efficiently as a restaurant. He taught me how to read a P&L. He taught me how to make money, save money, and be really, really good at it.
That's another thing I was going to ask about was, like, did you learn any of that in school, in culinary school?
No. Culinary school did not really teach you high-level math. They teach you stuff like, okay, your food cost needs to be, 30%, or if it's fine dining, 35%. Your labor cost needs to be, all total front and back. It needs to be no more than 18%, whatever. And they're just basic numbers.
Yeah.
Michael gave me the PhD in math.
Yeah.
And learned to read a P&L, manage a P&L, recognize where you need to improve, and create a consistency not only of your cooking, that was what Brad taught me, consistency of your math and your business. Yeah. So, man, I tracked those guys, and they're the ones who really, introduced me to what it means and how to be a restaurateur. In a high-level PhD math and cooking. Right. Because Brad taught me a lot about my own palate. Yeah. And he really got me focused on where I am today, on what I have to say on a plate. That is my voice. That is my everything. Anything you put in your mouth at my restaurant does what Brad taught me. Yeah. It's got to pop. Yeah. And I morphed into my own chef and cook, but I was certainly influenced by Brad on how I cook.
Yeah.
And it's bold, and it's no joke, and it's delicious. And same with our business life. My wife's smartest whip. She runs the back office. She keeps me on top of my math every day, but I'm good at that, so it's not really that tough. But we learned the math, and we were prepared as business people because we both had been taught the math. And that's really a big deal because you talk to anybody in food and beverage, the fail rate is massive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 80%.
We've just seen that recently.
Yes, we have seen that, haven't we? You
don't have to say anything about that if you don't want to.
I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just here to talk about what it means to not do that.
So California, what happens where do you go from there? Because Birmingham, obviously Frank Stitt's amazing, but Birmingham is not necessarily this metropolis or hub necessarily. How do you end up coming back here?
Well, we had a baby.
Okay.
Our oldest son was born, Zeb, in San Francisco. We're looking around going, okay, are we going to raise our family here and live here forever? And we talked a lot about that. And we said, she loves being in the South. She's from Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
And so she's always, loved being down here. She came down for a psych degree at UAB, did that, worked as a paralegal. She loved Birmingham. She loves the South. And we just said, you know what, let's go down south. Let's pull up stakes. At that time, Brad and Michael were thinking about opening up a new restaurant, and they wanted me to run it. And I said, we went back and forth, and they really wanted me to run it. Yeah. And I just said, guys, I got a baby. I'm going back south, and I talked to people in Charlotte, New Orleans, Charleston, Greenville, all over the South, and called Frank because none of it really floated my boat. Charlotte really, at that time, was not much of a food town. Since then, up until now, I mean, they've got several Michelin 1-stars. Yeah. And they're legit. Yeah. And that was not going on at that time. So Charlotte really was not where I wanted to land. But we had kind of established a footprint in Birmingham. We had a baby, and we didn't want to live in San Francisco or, for the rest of our lives. And so we went back to there and took a job, and that was when Frank was opening up Bottega. Okay. So I took the chef position there, and while that was going on, we were also having plans to open our own restaurant in Birmingham.
Where did that idea come from?
We wanted to be entrepreneurs. We wanted to own our own restaurant. We felt like we knew enough and were skilled enough to manage time, money, resources, and run a business. And we also knew how to cook. Heidi was a great pastry person. She did know savory as well. I felt confident about my ability to open a restaurant and have what I have to say as a chef, my voice on a plate, and make it unique and different. And that's what we did. Yeah. And we didn't worry about it. We said, we're going to do this. And we just, like a young couple with a young child, we're going to grip it and rip it. And not too long after that, we have our second son, Vincent, and we're blowing and going. We found investors. They funded us in 3 years. We bought them out, and we were free.
That's awesome.
And they were shocked.
That seems fast too.
They were shocked. They didn't expect it. They frankly didn't know if they'd get their money back. Yeah. And they damn sure didn't expect to get it back in 3 years. Yeah. And what we did is we took out an SBA loan. Okay. So we cut our interest rate way down because they were at 12%, and SBA is like 2.5%. Yeah. So we bought them out. They were thrilled. They made a little bit more than what they what they gave us.
Yeah.
Not a ton, but they were part of our success. The one thing I love about our investors, I love a lot of stuff about them, but they brought people to the table because they were all business people, and they made sure that the word was out, and they were bringing people to our restaurant every night. Yeah. And they really were the backbone of the early days. Yeah. And we built a plane while we're flying it. Yeah. Because when you go into your own first business, it's just going to be what it is. Yeah. And it settled down pretty quickly. We had incredible talent in that first kitchen, and have continued to attract really talented young people, men and women from all over, because they want to, like me, I wanted to be in a really good kitchen and I wanted to learn. And, that was 1995. And
how did you find the investors?
I was in between leaving Bottega saying, Heidi and I are thinking about moving to Atlanta to open a restaurant. And that was really what we were thinking about doing. So we went back and forth to kind of study that and look into that. Well, I run into one of the Stevens families. This is the EBSCO folks. Yes. Yeah. So Big Elton.
Bart's family.
Bart's family. So you know those guys. Yeah. So I ran into Donald Comer, and he said, "Hey, look, I hear you're not working for Frank anymore. Do you have a job?" So Big Elton, Little Elton, Jim and Julie, Dell and Dixon, and Donald and Jane. Okay. Those were 5 nights a week. I would cook for each family. One Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever. Gotcha. Or Tuesday through Saturday is what it was. And that was great because these are all very entrepreneurial people. Yeah. They asked me a bunch of questions in the interview process. I sat with the family. They grilled me, and it was great. Yeah. I gave them the full, story, and that, we're looking to, start a restaurant. We're looking into Atlanta. They're like, why are you going
to leave?
Why are you going to leave? Well, and we had made up we had gotten past the Atlanta thing. We're like, we're going to stay in Birmingham, because when we were kind of looking at Atlanta, we run into Donald, and we didn't know where we were going to wind up. Well, we get this gig, and we're like, you know what? Atlanta doesn't feel right. Yeah. And it just was one of those those decisions we made. Again, it was gut decision. I think it's a great decision, obviously.
I agree.
We worked for them for, about a year, maybe a little over, because the Stevens were part of the equation. We had 5 other investors. Yeah.
So you were kind of relatively well acquainted with a lot of the business owners and business leaders around town because of that.
Because of my time with Frank. Yeah. And I'm grateful for just having to meet all these incredible people who are big foodies and, were willing to take a risk on a young couple.
Yeah. How old were y'all when y'all decided to do this?
I was 33, and I's a little older than me, so I don't remember exactly.
Couple 2-3 years. Mid-30s-ish.
Yeah, right. We're ready to go. You know, we're not waiting around. This is go time. Yeah. And we just looked at each other and said, let's do it. Yeah. And like I said earlier, we didn't really worry about too much. We just went and did it. And, we opened in 95, and, things started happening and got busier and busier and busier. Before you know it, we got, people wanting to, come visit us from, other places around the world. And UAB helped us a lot because they're bringing people in from all over. Yeah. And so, we Southern Living, starts writing about us. So does Food and Wine, and next thing you know, Food Network's calling, and they want us to think about Iron Chef America, and all that. And
take me through that story. Because this is wild to me, because I grew up, my parents are hobby chefs,
Yeah.
And so I grew up watching like Alton Brown, like
Yes.
that. I watched that instead of like cartoons
Well,
or like Iron Chef America or like all these shows on Food Network.
Yeah.
So that's like insane that you were like on TV doing that. Like I might have watched you and I had no idea.
Probably.
You know?
Yeah, because I did all kinds of stuff. I mean, I did. You may. I mean, I was on the Today Show. I did the Martha White Show. I did Ming Tsai. I did Gordon Ramsay. I did Iron Chef America.
Yeah.
And we were in that kind of thing where everybody's like, okay, let's get this kid up.
That was a big moment back then, like 2010.
Huge.
Plus minus a few years, like that was huge.
Yeah, it was really huge. And so the Iron Chef people called and they said, okay, we've been kind of checking you out. We've seen some of the work you've done. You seem pretty comfortable in front of a camera. I said, yeah, I'm good. I don't know, that freaks me out. They said, all right, you want to do this? I said, absolutely. I want to do this. So they started interviewing me. Okay, like who do you want to go up against? You know who's up there now. I said, I wanted to go against whoever's the top leading person, chef, who's number one. I don't know which one of those 5 that are
whoever's
there.
the best, that's
whoever's the best. Just put that man, woman, or child in front of me, and I'm coming to compete.
Yeah.
Okay. He said, "Oh, okay. You're a little over your skis."
Yeah. I
said, "Well, maybe, but I'm gonna show up."
Yeah.
You're never afraid of a competition.
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, who is it?" He said, "Bobby Flay." I said, "Fine, I'll take Bobby Flay." And they kind of gave us the playbook and said, "Look, here's how it works. You need to talk to your chef friends who've done it. You're going to, we're going to give you 3 potential ingredients. In this case, it was Parmesan cheese, sausage, and Parmesan cheese, sausage, and octopus."
Okay.
And so I started. They said, "Go out and talk to your chef friends who've done this, and they'll give you some advice, some mistakes they made, and some things they do differently, and some things that really went well." Part of which is, and I talked to Michael Latta. He owns Fig and The Ordinary in Charleston. He's a good friend, known him forever and ever, and we're contemporaries. And he said, "Look, here's the deal. You got to submit 3 menus," which I knew. I said, "Yep. You make them different enough to where if you called a peach guy or a seafood monger or your favorite, sausage maker in wherever, because they're going to source whatever. Food Network's going to source the best stuff that I get. So make your menus hyper local with people you know, and call them 10 days before well, I think it's 7 actually. 7 days before you are going to go. You're going to practice 2 weeks prior to when you go, and on the last week you call your peach guy, your fishmonger, and your sausage dude, and ask them if they've sent sausage to, or any of those things to New York to Iron Chef America. And if one of them says, "How'd you know that?" Well, you know which one it is. Yeah. So it was Battle Sausage. Yeah. And so we said, okay. We ditched the 2 other menus. We practiced all day, every day. Me, Rob McDaniel. Yeah. He used to be a former sous chef of mine, and then and so he was in the middle of all that with the 3 of us. And man, we were.
Who was the third?
Sadesh Badra.
Sadesh, okay.
You know Sadesh?
I don't.
He's from New York. He married a guy in New York that great, one of the world-class hair design guys, goes to Monaco and all that. They fell in love. They got married. He's a Southern boy. They moved out of New York. They just needed a break. First restaurant he comes to, because he'd been working with Thomas Keller and a bunch of other great chefs, he walks into my kitchen one day. He's got Thomas Keller and all these other chefs on his resume. I said, "You're hired." That's it. Period. Yeah. Heart stop. And he's an incredible cook. He's an incredible chef. He's just got he's got that New York kind of edge to him that's just incredible.
Yeah.
And we riff well together as cooks. We can communicate well.
Yeah.
And we've created some incredible dishes, hand and glove work together, just really, having fun and cooking just crazy delicious food. Rob was another, standout in my kitchen. I had George McMillan was one of my sous chefs before he opened up. Same with Chris Newsom, Rob. There's a bunch of guys that came through my kitchen that said, "No, I'm not going to be a restaurateur chef. I'm going to go into the meat business." Like Robbie Melvin, he was a great chef for me. He worked with Frank also and a number of other people. But so anyhow. Sudesh has been an important part of our business, and we love him, and he's been great.
Yeah.
And just, same with Rob. Rob was an entrepreneur from jump. And one of the things I taught all those young guys is we're going to learn math, just like I was taught math.
Yeah.
So if you were a sous chef of mine, you had to know how to cook, you had to know math. And we held them to both. And they learned a lot. It was hard. They would tell you it was hard, but it really helped them kind of go to the next level.
Yeah.
All those guys. And so
Iron Chef,
yes.
You figure out what the dish is.
Yep. We drop the other two. We go 7 days all day, just at 6 a.m. till we open up, getting everything spot on. They tell you to lay out your kitchen like it is, spread out. You got to go over here to get this, go over there to get that, and
you're running back and forth,
and you're running around like all that, but make it look calm.
Yeah,
that's what Mike said. You can't be running around like a chicken with your head cut off. You walk with purpose and you walk fast.
Yeah,
you don't act like you're freaking out.
Yeah,
and he said, just be you. Do not make the classic mistake of getting too cute by half. If you do nothing else, say what you have to say, and that whatever y'all are putting together for Battle Sausage, and just do you.
Yeah.
And that'll be good enough.
Yeah.
And we practice. We hop on a plane. We have Tina Payne coming to bring 3 sets of pottery. Just because we had 3. Before we knew it was what it was, she created 3 different sets of dishes for us for each octopus, Parmesan cheese, or sausage, right?
Yeah.
And so she was bringing pottery, and she was my mule for the moonshine because I couldn't put it in. She drove. She and her husband drove because they had the stuff in the car. Yeah. So I think I got her 2 or 3 mason jars of moonshine, and so that was a big hit on the show. And then we go, and we're required by the Food Network and Iron Chef America rules, you have to come watch a show.
Okay.
So we get into New York, settle in the hotel. The next morning we go watch a show, and we watch the full show. Young guy, he was from Canada. He's French. He had his wife, and his daughter, I think, were there. I don't remember his name and where exactly his restaurant was. He was going up against Flay.
Okay.
He got savaged. It was tough. His wife and his daughter left out crying. It was like,
yikes.
Jeez, that was brutal just to watch it.
Yeah.
And he just didn't have a good go. And, we were kind of looking at each other like, okay.
Yeah.
So this is, and we thought, okay, we didn't know at that time that it was going to be Bobby Flay. We just saw Bobby Flay there. I didn't know at that time. All the chefs block their 5 or 6 shows or however many shows they do annually, and they do them day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4.
Okay.
And they punch out those episodes, and then the next chef shows up until they've got a complete a
season or whatever. Yeah.
Right. And so we go out to dinner. We ate at Andrew Carmelini's restaurant. It was terrific. We pumped the brakes on the alcohol. We got focused. We talked about some things. We had a good night's rest. We got to be on set at 6 a.m. We're getting in the elevator. Bobby Flay's riding up in the elevator with us. Morning, Chef. Good to see you. Look forward to this, having some fun. He said, good luck. It's going to be a good time. Hope you do well.
That's crazy.
And I went and met his team, and they were typical New Yorkers. They weren't proper Southern people who, they're like, yeah, hey, well, nice to meet you, whatever.
Yeah, not chit chatty or anything.
Nothing like that. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
And so, we got to do about 2-3 hours of prep. We got to organize our stations. We got to unpack our stuff. We got to put it in its order. Rob's got his job. Sadesh's got his. I've got mine. We've got to do makeup. We got to do outtakes. We got to pretend like I picked Bobby Flay like it's live and there's 5 chefs standing there.
Yeah.
No, it's me just pointing into the camera saying I picked Chef Bobby Flay.
Yeah.
It's already predetermined. It's predetermined a long time.
Yeah.
And so we do all those kind of outtakes and that kind of thing. And then, then they say, okay, hey, let's start winding it up. We got about 15 minutes. We're going to gather in the hallway here before you get into Kitchen Stadium. I want you to gather in this hallway. And then I'm going to give you the 2-minute warning. So we're all gathered in there with about 5 minutes till the 2-minute mark, maybe a little longer than that, maybe 10. And up comes the Bobby Flay and his team are here, and we're here. The door's that way. There's not this much distance between us.
Yeah.
It's tight. And a really important moment happened where I looked at Rob and I looked at Sadesh and I said, you guys good? You ready? They looked me in the eye and said, Chef, we're ready. I knew we were going to be just fine. They didn't have an ounce of fear. You think about the possibility of melting down with the 2-minute warning and you're about to step into history. That's going to be on TV till the end of time.
Yeah.
It's on a loop. My episode for some reason still goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew then we were going to be just fine.
Yeah.
And because I saw a meltdown, we saw a meltdown the night before.
Right.
True meltdown. And it was hard. But we dialed in. Again, I'm a competitor, Sadesh is a competitor, Rob is a competitor. These are serious people. And we lights, camera, action, we go. We're efficient. We're everything went to schedule. We got dinged on one course. I had told Rob to grab the kielbasa, and what I was talking about is raw kielbasa, not cured kielbasa. So the sandwich we did, which was really good, but it was with the sausage was a firm sausage, and we browned it on each side, and we had Chilton County peaches, and I can't remember everything was on there. Yeah. But anyway, they kind of dinged us for that one, but everything else we got good marks on. So I'm there. I present each dish, and then poured moonshine. There was Donatella. There was Anthony from Blackish, and then Malcolm, the Brit. He was super cool. They were all super cool.
Yeah.
Anthony took to the moonshine like a duck to water. Donatella was a little bit more reserved with it, and a proper Brit was happy to have a stiff glass of shine. And so we just had fun. They critiqued me honestly. Then it's all down to it's time for judgment, and so you saw the episode, so you're down to the scoring was very tight, and the winner is by 1 point Chef Hastings.
Wow.
And turns out obviously we won. Malcolm was in Atlanta 2 years later. After that, he said, I want to come to your restaurant. He drove from no warning.
Yeah.
He drove from Atlanta, came and sat at the chef's counter. I look up, there he is.
Wow.
Malcolm, what's going on, man? What are you doing? You didn't call me? You didn't text me? Nothing? He said, no, I just wanted to drop in and see what's going on. And so we talked about the episode, and he gave me some insights on it. And he said, just for the record, I want you to know this. Bobby Flay is the absolute brand, okay? those other chefs are fantastic, but everybody knows Bobby Flay's the brand.
Yeah.
You crushed him on points.
That's crazy.
And he didn't tell me the number.
Yeah.
He said he just wants you to know it wasn't 1 point.
Yeah.
You outperformed him.
That's crazy.
Jen, you need to know that. And I said, okay, cool.
That's amazing.
I mean, I felt like we did really, really well. But it's cool. I don't care if it's 1 point.
Yeah.
Win's a win.
Yeah.
I don't need to be proud about that.
Yeah.
He's the brand. He's the franchise.
That's amazing.
A W's a W. Take it to the house.
Absolutely.
And it was really a great experience. It was really, really, really great. And it's one of those things that kind of began to snowball into all kinds of other stuff,
Yeah.
So
Iron Chef. We talked about that.
Yep.
So where was your first location of Hot and Hot?
So again, my genius wife says to me when we were looking for locations, we looked all over. I'm not sure you're going to like this, but I'm going to tell you this is going to be the move we're going to make, and you just have to trust me on this. She said, we need to take the old Upside Down Plaza building. Are you familiar with the old Upside Down Plaza?
I'm not.
This was arguably the greatest rub your ass in the dirt dive bar in the history of Birmingham ever.
Okay.
Any of the OGs, there's still, a lot of them aren't around anymore.
Yeah.
This was back in the 40s.
Okay.
When it was first opened, it was not a dive bar.
Okay.
It was the first strip mall above that particular bar. At the time, it was like Gilchrist.
Okay.
It was just a sandwich shop by day, which the strip mall was the first one in Alabama. Instead of like Woolworths where they had the counter inside the thing, they didn't have enough room for that. So they built this, lunch counter essentially for the patrons of the strip mall. Okay. And then somewhere along the way, I think in the 50s, the guy that didn't want to do the daytime work for the strip mall, some other guy came in and started a bar called the Upside Down Plaza.
Okay. Where is this?
This is okay. So if you know where Bottega is,
yep.
And you're coming down Highlands towards the Exxon station.
Yep.
Okay, it was right where that new
the new high-rise apartments.
So you take a right just past that, and the Upside Down Plaza was right there.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it was kind of in between Bottega and Highlands.
Yeah.
As the crow flies.
Yeah.
I said.
So you were there from 95 was when y'all opened until like
2019.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, it was, were you kidding me? Because I used to drink beer in that place when I was working for Frank.
Yeah.
And this is a decade earlier.
Yeah. And
I'm like, that place is a dump.
Yeah.
I mean, it is dirty. Have you ever seen it in the light of day? I said, no. But she said, no. And I said, well, it's not. It's not. I just don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
She said, look, man, you got to trust me. And I said, all right. And we met the landlord. She was reluctant because she threw the guys out of the Upside Down Plaza because she didn't like the massive consumption of alcohol and all the debauchery that went on in there. And she said, well, you can't serve alcohol.
Okay.
And I said, well, fortunately, I knew her daughter. She, her name was Miss Shaw, and Bonnie Bailey was her mother. Or Bonnie Bailey's her daughter. Yeah. And I knew Bonnie. She had the Highland Gourmet above us. Okay. And she said, let me talk to Mom. And she also brought her husband in, Bill. And they, behind the scenes, softened her up. and said, okay, we'll let you do it. I'm told by a lot of people that you're legit. You're not we're not talking about the upside down plaza, none of that debauchery. You're legit. I signed a straight Alabama, my wife and I signed a straight Alabama lease, no changes, nothing, signed the paper, boom. And we went to, doing it.
Yeah.
And
what was the original, idea of what Hot and Hot was going to be? Because is it Fish Club? Is that like seafood type? Is that kind of what you're thinking, or?
I'll be quick on this explanation. The Hot Knot Fish Club was a men's club that was started in around 1790 when my ancestors came from Edinburgh, settled in Pawleys Island. They became rice planters. Social construct was men would gather in their clubs. Could be a military club, gaming club, equestrian club. This was a food club and a drinking club.
Okay.
They had all the best wines and spirits from Europe. They had the bounty of all the stuff going on in the in the Atlantic Ocean and the creek systems all around, and they gathered with great gusto for 2 days, once a month from from May till October, because in October or in May. Make sure I get it right though, because it's they started in October and then went till May because the summer months were too hot.
Okay. And
so they would bring rice and vegetables and all kinds of stuff to these big banquets. They had these incredibly deep friendships and ties. There was a book that was created that wrote about the Hot Knot Fish Club called The Planters of Waccamaw County. That's where the Georgetown and Pawleys Island and Merle's Inlet and all that. And so what I did is my grandmother marked all this stuff up, all of our family history from Edinburgh all the way up until present day.
It's amazing.
And then she said, okay, she showed me the Hot Knot Fish Club piece, and I read through it, and they've had excerpts from their diaries, and the men wrote passionately about having this place to go to, this social construct that was so important to them, their friendships, their the bond they all had together as fellow rice planters, and all this, and the Hot Knot Fish Club represented a place to go to where they would cross the threshold of the front door, they would shut the front door, and anything outside of the Hot Knot Fish Club was of no importance for 2 days.
Wow.
They just committed to it. They served these incredible meals. They celebrated life and it to its fullest. And I said, if I could have a place where people felt like if they came through the restaurant of my front door and it shut behind them, everything else on the other side of that door would be unimportant for the hour and a half, 2 hours that we get. And that was our philosophy.
Yeah.
So we love the history of it. We love the uniqueness of the name.
Yeah.
That
gets me fired up. I love that. That's such a cool story.
Yeah, and it's real. It's not a
and it's tied to your lineage too, which is amazing.
100%.
That's so cool. As a side, have you been to Edinburgh?
No, I'm pissed about that.
My wife and I just went. We literally just got back last Saturday.
Really?
It was amazing. We went to Amsterdam, London, the Cotswolds, and Edinburgh was our favorite out of all of us.
My sister's been a couple times, and my wife and I just hadn't gotten around to it, but the Fraser clan, which was my grandmother's side of my mother's side of the family, we're Frasers.
Yeah.
And so there's a guy in Fraser in Edinburgh who represents the Fraser clan.
Wow.
And you get an audience with that guy if you're a Fraser from wherever you come all over the world.
Yeah.
My sister's done it, and she says it's amazing, and I absolutely have to do it.
That's so cool. Yeah, you definitely have to go do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so Hot and Hot comes around. Talk to me about menu and stuff. So talk to me about menu.
So we had talked a lot about what we want to do for years, and the California experience was huge. So was the first and the second stage with Frank, and then also my work at the Ritz-Carlton.
Okay.
Those things were all swimming around our head, and we knew that we wanted to do food of place, food of season. That when we're creating dishes and we're living seasonally, we have to hew very tightly to Mother Nature. Mm-hmm. Mother Nature is absolutely in charge of this whole drill. Anything we hope to purvey or comes from the earth. Yeah. And whether it's our fish, our meat, our vegetables, cheeses, the whole gamut, right? Yeah. Olive oils, everything. And so some of that is not seasonal: lemons, limes, oranges, olive oil, things like that. But when we create dishes here at the Hot Knot Fish Club and also Ovenbird, we live by the rhythm of what's available now. And when we don't try to cheat Mother Nature by getting too far in front of her or too far behind her, we just ride that tattered edge. So in the month of May, we're chasing honeysuckles, and we're chasing strawberries, we're chasing spring onions, we're chasing English peas, fava beans, fresh peas out of all the southern states, and of course good tomatoes, and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Asparagus, on and on, and we stick really close to that. And when those things kind of go, their season or micro season, in the case of things like strawberries and honeysuckle, is brief. Yeah. You're lucky if you get 4 weeks of accessing those things, and we'll forage wild watercress. We'll go to Blount County and go cut fresh watercress out of the streams and use that. And you're thinking about shad roe and pompano that are spring events where these fish are spawning and moving, and you can get those things. And so we just stay really tight on those rhythms of life and purveying. Yeah. And I've had a very clear vision of what I wanted to say on a plate and who I needed to find. Tina Payne was part of that, finding a potter, because we didn't want to get just regular china. We want stuff to be artisan. Yeah. Related. Our big harvest table was done by a great wood craftsman, and our hutch was made by a guy named Robert Moore. He's a musician and a carpenter. Yeah. So everything we did is very artistically driven. Me as an artist and a chef, we also JV with other artists on pots, plates, and carpentry and metallurgy and all kinds of stuff. So everything's unique. Yeah. And our food is unique. And so, and the way we create, our unique food is just by staying close to Mother Nature. Yeah. Yeah. So Hot and Hot, going great, doing fantastic. 31 years later. Why did you start another restaurant? Because I had one last thing to say about what I have to think about and what I have to say as a chef. My wife and I traveled, and the kids had traveled with us to Argentina and different parts of the world where you would go into small villages, and there's not fancy restaurants. There's people who've got bodegas and small little cafes, and they've got a wood burning stove and a wood burning oven, and they're cooking really honest, simple food. And we had gone to Argentina to go down. We flew into Buenos Aires, had dinner at one of Francis Mallman's restaurants. I'd been a fan of his for a long time. Then we go down to an estancia down in southern Patagonia. Around the Arroyo Verde was the estancia. We fished for 3 days, and we did an asado with the estancia and had terrific meals every night with the owners and everybody. And I said, look, I want to build a restaurant that does not have a gas line, and I want to cook differently than I cook now. I want to expand my knowledge and what I want to say on a plate in a restaurant that does not have a gas line. We have to live by the rhythm of a fire every day. I got to teach young people who may have never built a fire before how to build a fire. how to maintain a fire, how to see it, because it never sits still. It's either coming up, it's going to sit still for a minute, and it's going to go down. Yeah. And if you're cooking food in and out of that situation, whether you're on the grill or you're on the oven or on the plancha, you really have to have an intimate relationship with a fire. Period. Yeah. It's not complicated. I think people get it pretty quickly. Nobody's really failed at it because it's simple. Yeah. But a lot of my chefs are like, that's not really very smart. What are you thinking? I'm like, well, what are you, crazy? So, well, that's settled law. Of course I'm crazy. Everybody knows that. That's not news, man.
I was going to say, you have to be crazy to work in this business.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I don't care what.
Yeah.
Food and beverage is a crazy place.
Yeah.
So I had a couple of things not only to say about what I wanted to do about expanding my portfolio of work as a lifetime chef. I wanted to do that and really step into that. And also, my father was an architect and interior designer. So I grew up around spaces. Yeah. I learned a lot about how they should look, feel, move, interact with the natural world, how they should live and how they should breathe and how they should engage people. And so I did all the interior design work on both restaurants. And everything you see in those restaurants, I had artisans create, or I found them in antique shops and just curated the feel of both restaurants. Yeah. And what I love about Ovenbird particularly is, let's say you were snatched out of a city somewhere on this planet, and somebody put a bag over your head and then sat you down in Ovenbird. On a beautiful spring evening, with all the French doors open and the wrought iron fence is covered in beautiful flowers, and the what is in is out, and what out is in, and it just flows beautifully. The last place on earth that you would think you would be sitting is Birmingham, Alabama. Yeah. It feels of a different place intentionally, because of my experience in travel. Yeah. And I love that restaurant. It's every bit as popular as the Hot Knot Fish Club. We created it because I had one last thing to say. Plus, I wanted to have something that was more affordable for your generation, any younger. Because all y'all from your generation and beyond are serious foodies, and they've got their alcohol game on pretty good too. They're big cocktail, the younger crew. Yeah. And so they're really, you got to have a really great bar, and you got to have affordable, reasonable, delicious food. And we've achieved that at Ovenbird. And
when did y'all open again? Ovenbird?
Opened it in 2015.
Okay. So when I moved here in 2018 to go to college, my birthday's in March, and so the first birthday that I had
Taurus?
Here, was my first birthday I had here was Ovenbird. That was where I went for dinner, and it kind of rocked my world, because I took my family there, and I was like, wow, this is like, I've always liked food a lot, and my parents are really great chefs, but it was never the restaurant experience. And so Ovenbird kind of opened my eyes to like what restaurant and cuisine, like it just opened my eyes to that world.
How old were you?
I turned 19.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're kind of in your formative years where the world's kind of unfolding in front of you in a real way. Yeah. And probably the last thing you expected is this new restaurant, Ovenbird, to be a mind freak.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was fantastic. And then I go down the rabbit hole of all the other amazing restaurants around town, and now I've been to most of them. But anyway, thank you for Ovenbird.
Look, we're so happy with that. And Ramon, our chef, dude's from Peru. He can rattle a pan. He's a great guy. He's smart. He knows math. He's a great teacher. He's a great mentor. He's been the best chef we've ever had in now, gosh, what we're in, 11 years. Mm-hmm. And he's, he's terrific, and he just does a wonderful job. And did you notice the pins? So you signed your mom and dad signed the check.
I was going to say my dad signed the check when I went there that time.
Did you see the turkey feathers?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Turkey hunter. I killed every one of those turkeys.
Wow.
And I take that life of that turkey and I turn that feather into a piece of art that lives beyond its life.
Yeah.
As respect.
Yeah.
For those turkeys.
That's awesome. That's
I got
so
a turkey
cool.
problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
that was another thing I wanted to ask about was time outside of. I mean, you're running 2 restaurants. That's a lot.
Yep.
But what do you do outside of work?
Try to get to Lake Martin as often as we can. I'm an avid outdoorsman, so I'm fortunate enough to have a really good team at both restaurants. We're fully staffed. We've got great crews, both front and back. We're good. I'm a man of a certain age, and at 64, I'm not going to be cooking on the line. Am I there most nights? Absolutely. But, if I want to get away and, go fishing in the Bahamas or go down to the lake and just chill out for a couple days and get on, our little dumpy boat and cruise and swim and, chill. I like to, my life as an outdoorsman mimics my life as a chef. In January and February, we're hunting ducks. We're moving into March and April and May. We're going to be hunting turkeys. We move into the summer months. We're fishing in all different places all over. More river systems in any state, more biodiversity than any state in America.
Yeah.
Alabama, so you can canoe, you can camp, you can hike, you can fish all over the state. Do a lot of that, a lot of local stuff.
Yeah.
And then as we move into, September is dove shooting, and November I'm not a 4-legged guy. I'm a wing shooter.
Yeah.
So I'll shoot dove in September and October, November. I sometimes will travel to other places to hunt ducks earlier, and that's kind of the whole thing. And so it takes me to fun places with interesting people from all over the world. I like to fly fish at different places, both in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia and in the Bahamas, and so it takes me outside of my usual, local stuff.
Yeah.
So it's good balance of hard work and, going to cool places with very interesting people.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you have considered yourself to be very ambitious?
Yeah, for sure.
What, I wrestle with my own ambition sometimes.
Why?
I think maybe it scares me.
Good. It should. If you're not afraid, you're a crazy person.
Yeah.
You should be afraid. But you also should be fearless.
Yeah. I see a lot of confidence in you, which I think part of that is built over time as you prove yourself.
I'm Aries.
Yeah, that too. Fair. Would you say you were always confident then, I guess?
I had moments of insecurity, but I was young. I was just a kid. Once I got past 14 or 15, I kind of kicked into, full on, I'm good. I can see, things. I want to do things. I'd traveled enough to where, I'd seen enough of a lot of places where I wasn't gonna, I just was confident all my life.
Yeah.
And, then my mother died. I'm 18 years old, and I was alone in the world. My dad struggled with alcoholism, and he really couldn't manage 4 kids. And I realized at that moment that I was the oldest. I needed to go. I needed to strike out into the world. And that's when John Daly told me, you just spend before you leave, I know it's a tough time. Let's just give a gap year. I was supposed to go to App State, but no. Stuck with John Daly for a year. And during that year, That was tough, really hard. My mother died. My dad's a mess. My siblings are, trying to sort life out.
Yeah.
And I said, I got to bounce. And so I did. And, I never looked back, and I gained a new strength, likely my mother.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine how hard that would be, because my mom is like one of my best friends. You said you are a gut guy,
Yep.
and I resonate with that. At the same time, I feel like oftentimes ambition, at least in me, it creates these future plans of like what I envision my life looking like.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have that when you were younger, where you were dreaming of, okay, one day I'm going to have, this restaurant, or I'm going to, work with this chef, or whatever it is? Or was it more like head to the grindstone, like I'm just going to crush it every day, wake up, and then like see where that takes me?
The latter is true.
Okay.
In our industry is kind of built more for, you can't future trip.
Right.
At 18, 19, 20, early 20s, you're just piling knowledge on top of knowledge on top of knowledge on top of knowledge. There's no way you've got the skill set, unless you're E.J. Lagasse, who grew up in his father's kitchen, and now he's turned Emerald's into a 2-star Michelin restaurant.
Yeah.
That's a different thing. Most people go into it, just get better every day, put your nose on it every day, put your nose on your cutting board, put your nose on the teaching and the techniques and the precision and the hard work of it.
Yeah.
The hard work of it. And I always liked hard work. I've always liked hard work. And I always loved, I've had one job my entire life. I've been a cook since I was 17, 16. And it's been the greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
I fell into it, and I didn't have a plan.
Yeah.
I can tell you that, until John Taylor gave me a direction in a time when I really needed direction. I could have done something dumb and gone to App State. I'm not probably college material. I'm probably a working man.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that, because I am that.
Yeah.
We're not going to be, quoting Proust or, Harrison poetry or anything like that.
Yeah.
I go to work.
Yeah.
And I have a gift, and that's what I do.
Yeah. Are your kids?
Don't be afraid. By the way, you should don't try to future trip your thing.
Yeah.
You got to put your nose on it, work hard. It'll work itself out, and you'll know when it's right.
Yeah.
That's
sweat. Good advice.
I wouldn't sweat it
that.
too much, man.
Thank you. Are your kids involved in your business?
Vince does not want anything to do, he's my youngest son, with the restaurant business. He's like, Dad, I've watched this clown car since the time I was born.
Yeah.
And y'all work too hard. It's brutal. It's grueling. He's seen it live and personal. He said, I want to get a corporate job. Mm-hmm. He works for O'Neill Steel. Mm-hmm. He's in inside sales. He'll probably, if he does what he's capable of doing, which he likely will, he's got a 30-year job, and he's in a corporate structure, not chaos, which is food and beverage.
Yeah.
My son Zeb had worked he and his wife had worked us for a while. Zeb was born. He was like me. He was born to be a cook.
Yeah.
Born to be a chef. From the time he was in his high chair, I'm feeding him stuff like tripe pasta or raw oysters or crudo.
That's crazy.
And he just hammers it. Since he was that big in his high chair, and he's a great cook. He's a great chef. I don't know if he's gonna be a restaurateur. He has got to decide that for himself, but he absolutely has the palate for it, and a love for it. He's just good at it.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a curse, maybe it's a gift. He's got that gene.
Yeah.
He'll figure it out though. He's a smart guy. He and his wife, whatever their life is, they'll figure it out. They got 2 young kids. I remember those days.
Yeah. What's the trick to building a business with your wife?
Great question. I think where Heidi and I have been most successful is we found our own lane, meaning Heidi takes care of the office function. She handles all of the money, all of the bills, all of check writing, all of that. She also does work every day with the front of the house staff, and she'll critique the food that we're doing, but that's my lane, is the food. My lane is all of the hard work that goes into making food from scratch every day. And she's very good at what she does. I'm very good at what I do. We don't try to cross over too much. If the numbers are working great, she's doing her job. If food's doing great, I'm doing my job. And, we work together every day. And we've been married for 37 years. I think we're not 100% sure if it's 37 or 38. We from
something in there.
Yeah, it's up there. It's a long time.
Yeah.
And if Vegas had taken a bet on me as a chef, being married for 37 years to one woman that works with you every single day, and you're in food and beverage, they would take the under on me.
Yeah.
I mean, like maybe on an over-under, I'm a 3.
Yeah.
And everybody took the under.
Yeah. That
I would be done in less than 3 years.
Yeah.
And here we are 37 years later. Probably one of the most important things we talked about early on is that we have to learn how to communicate, and whether that's a fight or a conversation that's, needs to be had.
Yeah.
We recognized that we needed to create a ditch that we wanted to always stay out of. The ditch is, I think, where too many marriages go to get into that ditch for a fight to the death. And too many people don't find kindness, patience, love, forgiveness in that room, in that ditch. That's not where. That's not what's going on down there. That's where marriages go to die. If you're constantly fighting each other, not having grace and kindness and love and support for each other, and you're in that ditch too much, that's not going to work. Yeah. That's what we do in America way too often. We don't stick it out the hard way.
Yeah.
Thick and thin,
sickness and health,
rich and poor. And all the other bad stuff.
Yeah.
And so we've managed to just not get in the ditch to get to the point where we're gonna fight to the death. And you got to learn how to do that, though. You got to learn how to forgive and let things go and not hold on to things. Be honest, be rigid with your commitment, and we just we work together every day. We see each other every day. We do that well, actually. We don't fight in front of the kids. 30 employees at each restaurant, whatever. We're not going to do that. Whatever discussions we have that need to be had, we do that in private.
Yeah.
And I think we've got a wonderful relationship. I mean, it's not easy being married to me. It is not easy being married to me for many reasons, most of which we're not going to talk about. And but she's a kind and wonderful person. She's tough. She's sweet. She's smart. She's an incredible mother, incredible human being. She's a devout Catholic. I'm also Catholic, but probably not quite as devout as she is.
Yeah.
And she's the perfect person for me.
That's awesome.
She keeps me in check mostly, and she's she's wonderful. She's from Italian background. Her people came over from Calabria in Italy, settled in Cleveland, and from the very beginning when we were dating, it was, again, it's this instinct thing. It's not like I had a checklist of what I wanted a wife to be. I did not. I don't have a checklist for anything. Right. I just assess the situation, make a decision, go, headlong into the decision, and not a list maker.
Yeah,
I'm a gut player. So she was perfect. We were perfect for each other, and she's a great business person. She's smart. She keeps everybody, doing their thing, and I literally could not be where I am today were it not for her.
Yeah.
And if I don't say that out loud, that's shame on me. But it's just an incredible thing for us to have accomplished. I'm proud of us.
Yeah, that's awesome. My wife and I have been married for 3 years, and there are a lot of people I admire, but the people I admire most accomplish something significant with their life while staying married, and either working with that spouse or just, both working on their own separate things. My wife and I probably would not work well together in a professional context, but I think we work really well together as married people.
Yeah, well, you'll know. I mean, you would know if you'd talk about it with your wife, and she'd probably say whatever she would have to say, and instinctively the two of you would know whether it's going to work or not work. And okay, so don't work with her, or maybe you do work with her, whatever. But it's a big decision, and we didn't really kind of worry about it. We had good communication, and we loved each other dearly. And we were ambitious, and we needed each other. I'm no good without her, and she's no good without me. And so we just locked arms and went through the good and the bad.
Yeah.
And again, the trick is don't get in the ditch. Grace, kindness, forgiveness, love. I could go on and on with things that you have to be, and not everything is a crown fire. Don't turn a little tiny little dust up, a little, into a crown fire.
Yeah.
Understand what's big and what's not big, and sort it into its correct.
Right. Treat it as it is.
Yes. Don't turn a little tiny fire into a crown fire. Don't do it. It's not. It's just a small little thing.
Yeah.
So we do that good.
Yeah.
Well, probably more better English. So it's been great, and even when it's tough, we know that number one, we're Catholic. Number two, we're never going to get divorced ever. For no matter what happens, we didn't sign up for that. We're not. That's not
on the table.
It's not on the table.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, we're here for each other till the bitter end.
Yeah.
And that's worked for us.
Yeah. Especially in your industry. I mean, you're leading by example. That's a good example.
My wife might argue a little bit about that. We certainly have made it work, and on our terms. Every marriage, every business relationship, it's different. There's no one size fits all. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, Chef Hastings, this was awesome.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
You guys are doing great work. I was thrilled to get the call or the email.
Yeah.
And it's been an absolute pleasure, kind of just talking about life and stuff. And you're living in a great time.
I think so.
You've picked the right city. You've got a wonderful wife, and you're building this cool little side hustle. And I think it's a great addition to all things that are great about Birmingham. Y'all are doing a great job. You should be proud of yourselves as well.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Well, everyone, go eat some good food. Go to Hot and Hot. Go to Ovenbird. Anywhere else you want to point people?
Well, yeah. I mean, you've probably eaten at all of them. I mean, obviously Frank's restaurants are great. Mm-hmm. Adam's doing great work. Rob's doing great work. I don't know. I have not been to some of the newer restaurants, so I can't say for sure. I haven't eaten at Little Betty. I haven't eaten at what's the new restaurant steak place down on First Avenue.
Current. Is that what you're thinking
of?
Well,
I've eaten at Current, and I'd say it's trying to get there. I'm thinking about the steak place. Gosh, it should be on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, I love. I think LaFrette does a great job. So does Mario's restaurant. And I'm not talking about Mario from that has got the store in Mountain Brook. I'm talking about Mario, the guy who owns the French restaurant or the Italian restaurant on 2nd Avenue North. Anyway, we'll probably need to edit this piece because I can't remember everybody.
That's okay. Yeah.
But Mario's restaurant's great. I'm dying to go try the new Shoe Shop.
Yeah.
Have you eaten there?
Shoe Shop is amazing.
Well, I'm dying to go because I've yet to do that.
It's a late night place, so you would have to go out.
So when do they open for dinner? And they don't do lunch?
They don't do lunch. They open for dinner at 5 or 6.
Well, I can do that. Yeah. I don't need to be doing it at 10 o'clock at night.
Right. Yeah. Shoe Shop was like...
Shoe Shop is cool.
Short story. I used to work at Revelator coffee shop downtown. Yeah. And so I knew all the shoe shop people because they would come over and get coffee before their shifts.
Oh, okay.
And so I've eaten at Shoe Shop more than probably a lot of the restaurants in town.
I'm glad to hear you say that because it's on my bucket list to go do. I still love Eagles near on Finley Avenue, the soul food place.
Yeah.
Great food. Love that place. I go there all the time. I love Red Pearl. I mean,
we ate there the other day.
Yeah, I probably once a week I'm over there.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of some of the new places. Chris Newsom's opened up the Mustard Club. He's in like week 3.
Okay, where is that?
It's in between Ovenbird and Hot and Hot. It's at where the farmers market is at Pepper Place.
Yeah.
It's a small little place. He's back in the game after he left the industry for a while, and he's one of the best cooks I've ever worked with, chefs, and he's doing a simple little sandwich shop, daytime thing, and nighttime little bar, and he's a wonderful, wonderful guy, really serious, chef and cook, and I know he'll do well. I'm not leaving out. I love Johnny's. I go to Johnny's all the time. Mm-hmm. That's easily the best meat and 3 ever.
I'll be there. I think I have a lunch there in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I go there a lot too.
I do too.
Yeah,
I love Tim. Boy, he will wear out. He will wear out a customer.
Yeah, he will.
I'll tell you a funny story. I almost choked to death in there.
Really?
Yeah, this is crazy. So I'm eating. I go there all the time. Sometimes I'm with friends. Sometimes I just go by myself.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the corner just to the left of the kitchen door. Mm-hmm. It's right tucked back there in that corner. It's kind of like my table. And I'm having, typical, getting the chicken, some peas, and getting, the roll and some collard greens and some rice, whatever. And I'm kind of half, checking my text messages and emails. I'm kind of eating, not paying a lot of attention. I was chewing some chicken, and I go to swallow it. It's a little bit bigger than it probably should have been. And I'm like, it's getting down there, and it's kind of like stuck, but I'm still breathing. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm just going to get some tea, and I'm going to wash it down. Whoop, down goes about half a cup of tea, and I can't breathe.
Oh, no.
I'm looking around going, oh, fuck. I have got probably less than 5 minutes to either live or die based on a decision. Who is gonna give me Heimlich?
Yeah.
I look around the fucking room. I don't see anybody that I would know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to the bathroom where people go to die if they're choking.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
100% chance of that.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not gonna risk just picking some rando out of the crowd at Johnny's. So I said, okay, Tim's here. I gotta go. I gotta find Tim.
Yeah.
Fortunately, he was in the building.
Yeah.
I go into the kitchen. I'm going, and his eyes get as big as saucers. So he jacks me up and boom. He does it about 5 times. I'm like, and then, his eyes are even bigger. Man, and that was it. He put every ounce of energy he had in, so he picked me up and wham, and then poof, out came the tea, out came the chicken.
Oh, no.
And I was probably minutes away from to be too late to call an ambulance.
Yeah.
If that failed, I would not be sitting here today. I would be dead as a post.
That's crazy.
Yep.
I'm glad you're alive.
Decision making and keeping, and me too. But you know what? But I remained calm.
Yeah.
I didn't panic. That was the thing. I said, "Oh shit, okay, I know what's happening here.
Yeah.
Got to make a good decision. It's a life or death moment for me."
Yeah.
Didn't freak out, and went through probably maybe 3 minutes of, probably 2 minutes of, but it's getting close. I knew time was of the essence.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I just picked the right guy, and Tim was the man for the job.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yep.
I think it's a good place to end.
I do too.
You're still alive?
I'm still alive. A lot of other people would have liked to have killed me, but they hadn't got me yet.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
That was fun.
It was fun.